Well, good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome, or a little slightly chillier welcome to our November Plymouth Food Aid Network meeting. So lovely to have so many of you here in the room, and welcome to those that are joining us on recording a little bit later for catching up. So we've been joined today by Rebecca Carter-Dillon from Plymouth University, who's going to be talking to us about the continuation of the Is Food All We Need project that was fantastic last year. So really looking forward to that. And she's also working with Jenny Taylor in public health, who's also here this morning. And Jenny's going to be telling us all about the Thrive event that's coming up. And I'm not going to say any more. So I know, Rebecca, you might need to shoot off earlier. So I'm going to come to you first, and then the floor is all yours.
Thanks, Tammy. I'm sure, does everyone else know each other? Carl, I don't know if I've met you. Just wondered if you could introduce yourself, please.
So yeah, I work for Plymouth Community Homes. I started off 3 years ago with them working in the communities in the Beacon, and that's how I got to meet Tammy and the team really. And then I've moved into tenancy sustainment. So I've helped the tenants last Christmas and this Christmas really with like food hampers and blankets and just lots of things they're struggling with, and even more so this year with the energy payments being sort of cut. But yes,
Yeah.
I work for Plymouth Community Homes as a tenancy sustainment worker.
Okay, nice to meet you. So, as Tammy said, I'm Rebecca. I'm employed by the university, but I'm on a kind of honorary stroke secondment contract with public health in the city council. And my job is around supporting city council and VCSE organisations to do research and evaluation around kind of health inequalities, social inequalities work. I'm doing quite a bit around food for the last couple of years, year and a half or so. And Jenny and I have been working on a piece of work called Is Food All We Need, which was Tammy's project, and Lindsay with the Soup Run and other projects were involved in last year, talking about we looked at lots of different types of food projects in the city, and we supported organisations to talk to their service users, their people coming in, about what makes a difference in terms of why do you come day to day, week to week, and what is it about this particular project or service that is making a difference to you. And we've got lots of lovely data there, which we've been writing up and pulling together. We've got towards the end of pulling all that together. But when we looked at that data, we realised that not by design, but just by the nature of the way it sort of played out over time, that we felt there were kind of quite important perspectives missing. So sort of anecdotally, I'd heard that the kind of younger people in the city and older people in the city, and people from Black and minority ethnic communities, and maybe people with disabilities, mental health issues, and other things going on, were facing additional barriers to food security, and maybe some of the challenges of going in and asking for help were additional there. So we developed the project to sort of try and pull in those more diverse voices. Then I had a real palaver with the university, frankly, getting ethics approval. And finally, after about 4 months of wrangling, last week, finally found out that that had been approved, thankfully, so we can continue. So my our aim, Jenny and I, is to try and reach out to organisations that are supporting people with access to food, whether that's food banks, food clubs, all sorts of different projects across the city around those diverse needs. But what we really want is to speak to people who are facing those additional barriers. So earlier on, when we had ethics approval, before we had this kind of we had a gap. But Jenny spent some time with Age UK, for example, and had some really interesting conversations with older people about their particular challenges. I've done some work at one of the food clubs talking to people who have are experiencing difficulties with kind of mental health and isolation, who find it really difficult to come in and ask for help. So I'm going to send out some information to Tammy to send round to the people within the network, and it's really an ask if anybody would be interested in talking to us. And there are a number of reasons for it, but one of the things that it ties in with really well is at the moment the city is going through a really interesting time developing food co-ops and social supermarkets around the city. So some of these are new projects. Some of these are projects that were food banks or similar to food banks that are making that transition into this membership-based model where people in the community come together and collectively run a food co-op and everyone has different roles to play, and they collectively decide how they're going to spend the money that they bring in. And it's very small amounts. We're talking sort of £3 per person. And then Kelly Fritcher, who's been running this, has linked in with Fair Share, who therefore, and with his church, who've been able to bring in additional food that would have gone to waste. And the lovely thing about the food co-ops is that it has that very strong kind of reducing food waste aspect. So, and they're very inclusive and open, and they seem to have got past the kind of some of the stigma around asking for help around food support. So they've been really, I think, really successful. So I've been asked by that team to help with the evaluation of that work. So what I'm hoping is that the two things are very complementary, and anything we can find out about people's additional needs, support needs in terms of food security, will very much feed into that project of work and that work going forward. At the moment, there are 6 food co-ops in the city, and the hope is that they'll be kind of across the city, and lots more people will have the opportunity to get involved in those projects. So if I send some more information to Tammy, if that's okay, and you can send it around the network, and it's just a request really, if anybody would be willing to speak to Jenny or I in the next few months, that'd be really helpful. And we can obviously then, feedback what we find, and that will hopefully be helpful to you in your work as well. Jenny, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it all. Yeah, no, yeah,
Thank you.
everybody's.
The brain's only working at about 40%, so if I'm waffling, apologies. But yeah, has anyone got any questions? Does that sort of give you a sense of what we're trying to do?
I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you could explain, because they've set up a food co-op out of the Beacon.
Yes.
Now, this is what I've been told, because I don't understand a lot of them, because I've moved into tenancy sustainment before they set it up. But I've told there was about 20 spaces, and there's people wanting to join. But there was only 3 left, so I just wondered, if you've got people in that area and they're full up, what can they do?
So the people within the co-ops will be doing they'll be talking, we'll be doing ripple effects mapping and interviewing, I'm supporting those people to actually talk to others in the co-op about what they've got from being involved. And also there are obviously people but there have been people who've joined and then it hasn't worked and they've left, and trying to get a sense of what does and doesn't work for people. So for example, at the moment the co-ops are all during the day. So for people who are working, or for people who have other commitments during the day, whether that's caring or volunteering, whatever it is they might be doing, that's an obvious example of where actually maybe we need to do things differently. Maybe there needs to also be stuff going on in the evenings or weekends for people. So what we're trying to do, Carl, is get a sense of, is there demand for more of these projects? The 20-person model has come from the way they're run in other places. Kelly got a lot of it sort of intel from looking at how they're done in London. And maybe in some communities there is an argument that actually they do need to be bigger than that, or they need to have a flexible membership kind of approach, because there's one actually on campus for students, and the nature of students that they're quite they come and go in terms of they might only be there for a year. They have a much more flexible approach to membership, and you can people might be a member for a number of months and then somebody else will take that place. So there are different ways of doing it. And what we want to do is so I've been supporting the food co-op members to how to interview. And when I say interview, it's going to be very kind of, informal and relaxed kind of approach, to speak to people in those communities about what being involved in the co-op has meant for them. And for people for whom it isn't working, it'd be really interesting to find out what they need. And if there are waiting lists, and that's quite a strong indication that there is demand. It'd be lovely to be able to say to people, because some people weren't convinced, because obviously there is free food available in the city. And some people obviously would say, well, actually, if there is free food available, why would I pay to be a member? But it's about kind of all the additional aspects of being a member of a food co-op. And obviously there still needs to be free food for people who need free food. There'll be people who still have that need in crisis. Of course, the supermarket obviously provides a really important service there, and there are other food banks which are really important. But there's that kind of other space where people can get involved in something where they can get really good quality, affordable food, and then also reduce food waste, which has proved to be quite popular. And as I said, it becomes something very positive, and people feel that actually this isn't a stigmatizing thing. This is something I can get involved in. And they've had funding to do things like provide training for people. So people have been able to develop quite a lot of different skills and get some accredited training around that, which has been really, really nice. Things around food hygiene, bookkeeping, and so on, that then helps people in terms of employability. That was a very long answer, Carl. Did that answer your question? Sorry.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rebecca. That's
Yeah,
really,
could I
really
just
helpful.
comment on that as well? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course, carry on.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so yeah, no, I think this is very interesting how this work with the co-ops and the cooperative social supermarkets sort of lies between the crisis support and the more long-term resilience piece. Because anyone can join these co-ops. You don't have to be in, pressing need to join one. So it is quite an open access kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of non-stigmatizing in just with regard to who can join, as it were. You don't have to be below a certain threshold to be allowed in, as it were. And I think there's a real dignity piece in that, really. That it's more the people working together, to help each other and help themselves rather than be helped. There's just something really powerful about that, the agency and the the effectiveness of that model. And I think that's why the 20 people is, I think the 20 people is about the maximum size you can have and still be effective in that zone, because everyone has to do something to contribute. It's there are no passengers, are there? Everyone does something depending on their means and their time available to help the overall collective effort. So I think there's something really tremendous about that. The way I think on it is to actually multiply the number of them, that's easier said than done. But I think Rebecca hit the nail on the head there as well about accessibility. That different timings and evenings and even weekends and things like that could be a lot more suitable and help more people to be part of these from that point of view. So I think that will be an ongoing sort of running conversation with Kelly as it rolls out and as more and more of these become established, really. I think the other piece is that, as well as all that great collaboration with FareShare, it's one of the reasons that the Bridge has been brought about, the Food Security Collective, to increase the supply and quality of the mix of food that's available. So again, that's another one to factor into this equation, really, as well. So yeah, it is very exciting, this set of developments. I must say, there's a lot of national interest in it. And it as Rebecca said, it comes out of the started with cooperation towns in London and Islington, and is now there's a sort of this whatever you call it, satellite here in Plymouth, but there's also a satellite up in Sheffield as well, which is quite interesting. And Kelly's got links into all of that, so yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, I hope that helps. Anyway, thank you.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Ian. And just to expand as well, Carl, I don't know if, as I say, quite new to this model. Alongside the co-ops, Food is Fun is going in and doing cookery demos to show people how to use the food that they're receiving, actually working with the co-op members to just help to really, go along the way of what you can do with it, what you can make, etc. And then for those that want that additional support, they can then move into a full cooking course if they want to. So we've got those, you've got that consistent support there available. And that'll be really interesting to see with Rebecca's research how that all has that ripple effect and what comes out of it at the end. So yeah, I'm really interested from lots of different angles, which has been brilliant. So Jenny, would you like to
Yeah.
straight over to you? Is that okay?
Let's go for it. Oh, I was going to share my screen, but it says
Oh, you can. I didn't know you couldn't.
It says host has disabled attendee screen.
Not intentionally. All right, try that.
Yeah, there we go. That come up.
Yeah, I can see that.
Make it full size. There we go. Hello, everybody. I'm, as Tammy said, I'm from public health in the council. I run the Thrive Plymouth programme along with lots of other things that I do. You might remember that I spoke to the network a while ago around Thrive. Although it feels like yesterday, I actually think it was January, Tammy. I feel like it was
I think it was months ago. Yes.
And it feels like it was only yesterday. So I'm back again to give an update on Thrive, because when I spoke last time, we were just finishing our big evaluation of the last 10 years. And so now here is the future of Thrive. So we've got a slightly new logo, unless if people won't remember, it was before, didn't have the green bit, so that will all be explained. So a bit of a background. So Thrive was launched in 2014 as a 10-year programme to tackle health inequalities. It was set up around this 4-4-54 construct, but basically these 4 behaviours here led to 4 diseases, which accounted for 54% of deaths. We quickly realised that's a very behaviour-focused way of thinking and doesn't really consider complexity or anything else around people's lives. So each year we've had a theme looking at a wider aspect of people's lives. So we've done healthy workplaces, healthy schools, the One You programs, which is the Live Well work that's still going on now, the Mental Wellbeing Year, which is around the 5 ways to wellbeing, so links to the Wellbeing Hub, that petal designed for the Wellbeing Hubs came from the Thrive Year for wellbeing. Connecting through food, so we worked really closely with Ian and Tammy in that year, which everyone says is the best year, so take from that what you think. The arts, heritage and culture, so that was linking in with the Mayflower 400 celebrations, which unfortunately got stopped because of COVID, but that was the idea around that, volunteering and such. We then relaunched after our break. I say it's hard, I call it a break because the public health team stepped away to deal with pandemic response, but all of you did other great stuff during the pandemic that carried on the idea of Thrive. So pause from the public health perspective. So we rejoined Thrive ourselves in 2022, looking at listening and reconnecting, thinking about how we talk to each other, how we could be trauma informed and reconnect post-pandemic. And then the most recent year we've done Where We Live, looking at how places and spaces, so homes and such, affect our well-being. Following a big evaluation, as I mentioned, which again, thanks to Ian for helping with that. He gave me an interview about his experience of Thrive, which is all really valuable. We've now relaunched, or will be relaunching next week or 2 weeks' time, for a new construct and new principles to better reflect the way that we actually work as opposed to focusing on behaviours. So I'll go through these in a bit more detail. So our new construct, so moving away from the 4-4-54, our new construct is healthy body, healthy mind, healthy places, healthy communities. So essentially, healthy body is anything that affects your physical health. So it does include those 4 behaviours from before, but can be anything that's wider. So it could be vaccination or screening or wider prevention agendas. The healthy mind is things that affect your mental health and well-being. So that includes the 5 ways to well-being that was mentioned in the 4th year. But again, it can be wider than that. We don't want to be limited to what we're focusing on. Healthy places are physical environments, such as workplaces or schools, and the built environment, your streets that you live on in your neighbourhoods. And then healthy communities is the social environment. So that's anything about isolation or connection. And you can define a community in any way that you want. So that can be people that you live near, but people, communities of identity. It can be your work colleagues, your all communities. This is a community of food aid network providers. That's a community in itself. So we don't need to be restrictive in the way that we think about this. And also to say that there is no one petal that is more important than the other, and every petal affects all the other petals. So it's all very interlinking. It's just a way of sort of thinking about things rather than saying that we absolutely have to be doing this petal this year rather than the other ones. It's all linked in. So our new principles. So we've acronymized Thrive. So this is the way that we're going to be working going forward. I would appreciate people's thoughts on the better that we can do this. So we're going to be focusing on being together, because the network, Thrive Plymouth is a massive network of organisations, and we want to build a whole systems approach to tackling health inequalities. And so we appreciate there's probably people missing from our network that we need to engage with. And the best way to do that, we're happy to take advice on that. We want to be human-centred, so we want to be compassionate and trauma-informed, and put lived experience at the voice of our, at the centre of our work. We're going to be respectful of all of our members, which I hope we are anyway, but it's good to have it written down. Make sure everybody has an equal voice in Thrive, because it is for you guys as well as trying to tackle health inequalities. It's a way of you guys connecting with each other. Obviously, we're going to be inequalities focused because that's our main aim, but we are going to tailor our work so it's different depending on the need, taking a health equity approach. We want Thrive to be a space where we can try new things without fear of failure. So we're going to be versatile. And then ultimately, we're going to be evidence-based. So we want Thrive to be able to be a medium through which we can give you public health knowledge as a role, as a public health team. We can, if you want to find some facts about stuff, we can provide that for you as part of our role to the city. I'm going to pause there for any questions about Thrive in general before I move on to the event in 2 weeks' time.
It's not a question, it's more of a contribution, Jenny, if that's okay. So in terms of your human-centred principle, I've been doing quite a bit of work with the Trauma Informed Network and working with Changing Futures and the Trauma Informed Network to support the development of training resources for the network and beyond, which will many of us attended some training which was delivered externally around what's called psychologically informed environments, which basically just means being trauma informed. And we've got huge amounts of kind of content that we're pulling together, and we're going to try and develop 5 interactive webinars which are very Plymouth focused, and they will include examples of work that's been done that is very trauma informed and really embeds kind of lived experience in supporting kind of service delivery and so on. So I don't know if you're linked in with the Trauma Informed Network, but I can just keep you kind of, as we're planning on getting this done, but we had our first session yesterday, and we're going to be doing one each month, although the conversations were so good, we certainly didn't get one finished because there was so much conversation about what we should include. But we've got the kind of the structure of it. We've probably got the first one about 70% done. We just need to bring in the specific examples to give it that light, give it sort of that human feeling. So we will hopefully by the end of March have a kind of suite of webinars which are going to go onto the Trauma Informed Network website, which will give examples, it'll be very Plymouth specific examples of trauma informed compassionate approach working and health systems working. So I just wanted to I don't know if you're aware of that, but
I wasn't aware of that. No, that sounds fantastic.
But it's very complementary, I think, to what Thrive is trying to do, and it makes sense to kind of bring it together.
Yeah, it does. Please link me in. It'd be good to get involved. Thank you. Any other questions about any of the stuff I've presented so far? I'll take the silence to mean no. So in 2 weeks' time, tomorrow, so panic stations for final preparations, we are going to be relaunching this construct for Thrive and celebrating the last 10 years, because it has been a busy 10 years and we've done so much great stuff. It felt like a good opportunity to celebrate the network and to celebrate all the great work that you've done. So Thursday the 28th of November from 9:30 to 4 at the Live Centre. You will get lunch and you will get refreshments, but please bring a tin for our tin drive, which is all going to the bridge. So it's all linked in nicely with the Food Aid Network. It's all going to be collaborative. I will share the slides with Tammy afterwards so that you can have the ticket source link to book your ticket. There is an exhibition hall, but we are now full. So if you want to be on the waiting list, please let me know. In terms of what we're doing, so this is the agenda for the day. So we're starting off with some opening remarks from the Vice Lord Lieutenant of Devon and the Deputy Lord Mayor of Plymouth, who I think have been quite involved with Thrive over the last 10 years, come to several launch events and stuff, and they're really keen to get involved. We're having a keynote speaker from Professor Sir Michael Marmot, Why Health Inequalities Matter. If you guys don't know who Marmot is, go and Google him. He is like the grandfather of public health and all things health inequalities. He's a really big deal. I'm very happy that we've got him at our event. Ruth is then going to be doing, Ruth Harrell, our Director of Public Health, a look back on the past 10 years of Thrive, doing some case studies, sharing some case studies, including one from Ian. Thanks, Ian. That's your third shout out of my presentation. Talking about what we've achieved over the last 10 years and celebrating all of that good work. We're then going to break into the market hall, case studies and lunch. So as I said, there's a market hall for the network members to have stands, to share what they're doing. At the same time, we're also having case studies in side rooms, which is 10-minute presentations about people's work. And then there'll be the free lunch as well, all happening all at once. In the afternoon, we've got the new Director of Public Health coming, Steve Madden. He's going to be doing an interactive quiz on health inequalities, and then looking at the future of Thrive, so presenting some of the stuff I've just talked about, and sort of planning the way forward. We're then going to break out into breakout rooms. So we'll do a session exploring those petals in a bit more detail and where people fit and how people overlap, and the idea of complexities and that no one petal is more important than the others. We're then going to be doing some bite-sized learning, so asset-based community development, ripple effects mapping with Rebecca. Thank you very much. We probably need to catch up about that. And some appreciative inquiry. So you'll come away learning lots of new things with a chance to then sign up for full training afterwards. And then a bit more around meeting other people in the network and exploring a bit about what Thrive Plymouth can do for you. What do you want to gain from being part of Thrive Plymouth? We'll then come back together to end the day. We're having a choir from the Plymouth Performing Arts Academy. Lots of children are coming to sing and do some uplifting singing songs to end the day. And then we'll close with a closing remarks from Tudor, who's the leader of the council. That's the plan for the day. And I think that's all my slides. Does anyone have any questions, queries?
No questions. Very much looking forward to it.
Should be a good day.
Well, well done to you for organising it all.
Yeah. It's been a busy couple of months.
I know last time I asked you, Jenny, you said you had more than 200 people signed up. What's it looking like now?
We're up to 300 now. Yeah.
Goodness, okay.
Yeah. Busy day. Lots of people coming. I said there was a spike when Michael Mamet was announced, and then there was a spike when Steve Madden was announced.
Oh, I thought everyone was coming for my ripple effects mapping.
Oh, no.
No, it sounds like a really interesting day. It's good.
No, it does. I think it's good. I think it's fascinating, actually. Thank you ever so much for that presentation, Jenny. It's just so interesting to see how Thrive Plymouth has sort of evolved and tracked over time, and how it has moved into a different way of thinking and being, as part of the experience of it all. And it's brilliant to hear the partnership arrangements, and the value of those being, recognised and honoured the way you've done. So, that is quite it's almost. I'm sort of in my head. I'm doing was like a longitudinal study of how things used to be 10, 12 years ago to how they are now, and how it's so much going in the right direction around that whole partnership, collaborative approach. So yeah, thanks very much indeed for that. I think I'm excited by this. I think it's looking good. I was at the Devon VCSE Assembly meeting earlier this week as well, online, and it was very interesting to hear about the wider Devon piece around public health and the NHS, and similar sentiments being voiced there as well. It was really quite a helpful. What's the word I'm looking for? It feels to me like an evolution going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's definitely been a process, I'd say, over the last 10 years. And I think public health has grown quite a lot in that time as well. And so we're sort of reflecting the change in public health as well as the change in Plymouth, which is quite nice. Also, I probably should have said that the evaluation report and the evidence base for what we're doing has all been approved by Cabinet now, and will be on the website soon once the website team has finished their updates, and then we can send the link round so everyone can have a read if they're interested.
No, it's brilliant.
Quick
question from me as well. Thinking about like 1U Plymouth, and a lot of us we're able to shout that we support One New Plymouth. Can we, are you going to be creating logos and things like that so we can shout that we're supporting Thrive Plymouth? Because actually that's really important. There's never been that in those first,
No, that's a really good point. I don't see why not, but I will check with the powers that be just to make sure we got the approval. Yeah, I don't see why, if you're part of the network and you're signing up to commit to tackling health inequalities and obviously working in the same way as, which all the organisations are anyway, those principles, they've taken from my experiences of working in Thrive. That's where they've come from. So yeah, I suspect there'll have to be some rules about using it, but yes, I'm sure it will be fine. I will follow that up.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. No, fantastic. Any questions for Jenny or Rebecca or anybody at all, or no? Okay. Ian, I'm going to hand over to you in a minute, because I don't know, you want to just give a little quick update about what you've been up to. Just a couple of things from me. There's been quite a bit of talk, getting some contacts about Christmas hampers. People that new organisations and existing asking advice of where people can buy produce from for Christmas hampers. If anybody knows of any special deals that any supermarkets or suppliers might be doing or gifting or anything, could you just please let me know so I can pass that or feed that back, or pop it onto the WhatsApp chat would be really helpful, because I know a lot of people are looking into that. Also wanted to really give another big shout out to Jonathan Sperling and the team down at Sherwell. So I popped along last week for their new community. So it's the Onward Community and Wellbeing Group, and they've created a new food aid and community drop-in down at Sherwell Hall on Fridays between 1 and 4. And they're really looking to grow that community because they know that they're going to be university students, as well as some of the local people that are living there as well. So if you're in the area on a Friday between 1 and 4, do drop in, just see what the amazing work that's going on. They're looking at doing a soup drop in as well. And the atmosphere was phenomenal. It really was. You could just see this is going to grow and grow. So huge well done to them. The other thing as well looking at is coming up to Christmas. I did put it into the last newsletter, from a message from Jan Knight. So they're doing a No One Alone at Christmas, where they're going to be opening up Sherwell Hall on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. So there was a link to the booking form if you want to share that with any of your service users, of anybody that might like to go. They're also looking for volunteers. So anything that, if you've got a spare time or somebody that might like to, they would love to have you joining that. And also, if there's anybody else doing anything at Christmas, could you let us know? Because in the next newsletter, I really want to get something out so everybody's aware of the things that are happening around the city. So that would be really helpful. I think that's it from updates from me. Ian, shall I hand over to you? Do you want to just do a quick update?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. So yeah, great to see everyone. So yeah, Tammy thought you might be interested to know about the Sustainable Food Places Day of Celebration and Action, which was yesterday up in London, which is basically involves as many as possible of now 114 sustainable food places going to Westminster to engage with MPs. And there's a long run up to that and engagement with MPs prior to that, as you would imagine. And it's a fantastic day. I was primarily there in my Devon Food Partnership role, and Plymouth was represented by Sophie Patterson as Sustainable Food Places Coordinator for Plymouth, and also Jabo Butera from Diversity Business Incubator, particularly around the work that we at Food Plymouth and Diversity Business Incubator, DBI, have been doing around the Sustainable Food Places race, equity, diversity and inclusion pilot, which is now turning into more of a major rollout. And Jabo's been, and Ella have been very supportive of that from the very outset. So Jabo was there and featured in a panel discussion, which was particularly effective and sort of was very well received. So that's been a phenomenal piece. Basically, just to say that the Day of Celebration Action is sponsored. You have, when you're going to do an event like this, it has to be sponsored by an MP, and this one, and it's been sponsored for several years in a row now, since the inception, by Emma Buck, who those of you that have been in this field for a while will remember Emma's pioneering work way pre-COVID around household food security at a national level, and actually trying to get that on the map politically and institutionally, as it were. And she was very successful in that, working alongside and in the same sort of field as Frank Field MP, when Frank was an MP. He's now in the Lords, isn't he? But that's been a really great thing. So Emma's actually from a constituency in the northeast of England, and from first-hand experience, sees and hears about the issues of food insecurity, food poverty, and is a passionate sort of advocate for making things better in that whole realm. So that was great to see her, and she had a sort of keynote address, which was brilliant. So yeah, just important to mark the origins of that, really, and that's that link into the other work. So basically, what's involved in this is engaging with MPs from months ahead of the event, encouraging them to come along to see the morning of presentations and discussions, and also to engage with representatives of the local food partnerships for their constituency. I believe that Sophie engaged with Fred Thomas, the MP for the north of Plymouth, which is particularly helpful. Both Sophie and myself, because her constituency spans the eastern part of Plymouth into the western part of the South Hams of Devon, have been engaging with Rebecca Smith for that constituency. And we didn't see Rebecca yesterday, either of us, but she is very supportive and very active in the field. And in the background, Luke Pollard's always been heavily engaged in this and is very supportive of organisations such as CaterEd, for example. But basically, what we do is we're calling MPs to action to champion the work of local food partnerships and local food organisations. So that includes everyone on this call and the partners and stakeholders, to actually visit local food projects and enterprises and get to better understand everything that goes on and the benefits to constituents in that, and also the challenges those organisations are facing, and also to consult with food partnerships as experts, as locally powered solutions generators. And I think all of us on the call and those of us listening on catch up, there is a great degree of expertise between us in different ways that is actually a phenomenal body of knowledge and experience, which we do exchange fairly freely as well, which is good. And obviously Rebecca's work is particularly helpful in this because it's a major initiative that is capturing a lot of this and actually making links. What I'm finding really interesting, Rebecca, is that, and there's parallels here to Food Sequel and the work that goes there, is how can I put it? It's very much action research, isn't it? That it's not just, in inverted commas, looking at things and sort of describing and analysing them. There is a shaping effect, like the joining up you were talking about just now with Jenny. It's a fascinating field, this, and just I'm really excited about it. I think there's some brilliant stuff going on. So that's it really in a nutshell. If anyone would like to know more about that, you're most welcome to ask, or just drop Tammy an email and I'll do my level best to explain it. But if you follow on social media, you will see quite a lot about it. There's some work. I'll put a little bit on the Food Plymouth Facebook page, for example, so you can see a little bit on that, but happily say any more if that's helpful. So that was that, Tammy. The other thing was that today is the extended deadline for the Household Support Fund response with the Children's Society. So Tammy sent you round everyone on the call, everyone that receives the bulletins from PFAN should have received the first sending of that with the online questionnaire. You can either download the appropriate document and fill it out and send it to them, or you can do it online. And that deadline was then extended out to today. It's the close of play today. So what Tammy and I are going to do after this call is get together and try and form, from our knowledge of what you do and how you do it and how we work with you, try and put our own response in there from a Food Plymouth community interest company perspective as the facilitators of this network. So we will go from there on that. So hopefully you've done your own responses, but if not, and you want to, you've got a few hours left if you've got time to go and put your own response in as well, because we wanted to do it on that broad brush approach. And I'm going to do a typical me. I often do this where I say, and I'll say the final thing. And then the final thing is that Ella's on the call, aren't you, Ella? And so we've been working together with Jabo around the revival of the Food Power Southwest network, which did some brilliant work pre-COVID, and thank heavens it did, because it laid foundations for the sort of response that Jenny was talking about earlier. And then that was very helpful during COVID. And then it sort of fizzled out, unfortunately, because funding ran out and people just could no longer, keep it going. But we're actually reviving it under the Ready banner, really, to do it for the Southwest. So there's going to be a facilitated set of 4 meetings coming up over the coming year. And stuck with me in my to-do place, which is not a very good place to be, or for anything with me on that, is a message from Ella to go out on that, where we're proposing some dates. So, and giving further updates. But the response we've had thus far from the initial mailing is a lot of enthusiasm for people for bringing that back. So the Food Power, for those of you that maybe didn't know it at the time, was an initiative out of Sustain, the Alliance for Better Food, Farming and Fishing, that was all about household food insecurity and tackling it. And as I said, it was pre-COVID, it was very timely, and it's just a brilliant initiative. It was a lot of credit to Dr. Claire Pettinger on this. It was Claire that really picked it up and ran with it when it first came along, and was the first facilitator of the network as well when it first came into being. And I think it was 2017 or something like that there was a food poverty focus in Plymouth, which Claire was instrumental in setting up, and Food Plymouth supported, and loads of people listening to this call would have been at that. And yeah, so it's a really welcome revival, let's put it that way, and it's been very well received. So I'm hoping for really good things to come out of that. So yeah, so I think that's it. That's 2 points stretched into 3, and I think that is my final thing. Is that all right?
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, that's brilliant. Just a final thing from me as well. Could I just remind everybody just to go on to the PFAN map if you've got if your organisation is on there, just double check. Everything is green on there at the moment, which means that you have all been fantastic at updating it. And a huge thanks to Carl, who is still beavering away in the background to support us with that. Not you, Carl, Carl from the co-op, I'm afraid, who is really supportive with the map and the website and everything. So thank you again to him. But just with it coming up to Christmas and everything, just if you wouldn't mind, going on, just checking your profiles, making sure that all the information that you want on there is on there. If you need any help with it, drop me an email, and either myself or Jackie will help you to make any changes that you need. And yeah, it would just be good to have everything. So, and again, if you're a warm space, that needs to be added. We can add that onto there because I know some people are, some people aren't. So it's just, as I say, just go on and checking that. That would be great. Plymouth City Council are making sure that their food support web page is up to date. So they've asked us to just go through that. I'm going to send you the link in the notes that I send through. And again, if you've got 5 minutes, if you wouldn't mind clicking on it, just seeing if there's something you find, because as much as we keep looking, there's always something that you miss. And we would just want to make sure that everything that the city is offering this winter is completely up to date. So that'd be really helpful. So that's it. Thank you from me. Lindsay, I've not thrown you on the spot, but you're here, and I just wondered if you'd like to give an update on the soup run and how things are in your world.
Right. Throughout the year, I've been saying, and the numbers go up and up, but actually, it's what we always see when the weather turns colder, the numbers drop, and anxiety increases, and we know that people are just as hungry, but they're not coming out. And those that do come out, it's often because they want additional help, with housing issues or just somebody to talk to. So it's very much business as usual. But on a personal note, I'm really looking forward to the Thrive event. I'm a big fan of Thrive, and I think there's a lot in there that is very relevant to the clientele that the soup run serves, in the sense that it's human centered, and we're at one end of a spectrum maybe, but people's needs are people's needs, and I really like the idea that we're individualizing responses.
Brilliant. Looking forward to seeing you there, Lindsay.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's great. Kevin, I know you've joined us briefly. Don't want to put you on the spot, but just wondered if you have any updates from the bridge or not, or if you just want to say hi.
Yeah, I'll do both. Hello to everyone. Yeah, apologies. Everything's a little frantic at the moment because, got some good news to share. So the last kind of 7 working days, I've been in my new unit, which is in Barrington Business Park. We've secured the warehouse. So at the moment, it's undergoing a lot of contractors and renovation. Everything you'd expect to come up to scratch and code. So you include all your fire safety. I'm trying. 2 seconds. Been in touch with the council, the rubbish, the fire safety, pest control, everything you can imagine that comes with having wholesale food unit. So everything's incredibly busy at the moment. But I'm hoping in the next kind of couple of weeks, we're bringing it up to scratch so that we can kind of have visitors where I'll be kind of offering it up to everyone to come have a look at the warehouse. It's going to be very busy with the racking and all the equipment that we're ordering and cleaning. But yeah, I'm definitely keen to come and have everyone come have a look at it. And I'll give you more details and updates as we kind of progress on.
Exciting. Well, considering last month you had no news, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed Kevin. Where is it, please?
It's Burrington Business Park.
Burrington, where's that?
So it's more Honick Knoll wise. We try to keep it more kind of centered in the city. If you know where kind of Provide Devon and Booker's, it's more in that region.
Yeah. Fab.
And have you any idea when you're going to be up and running for people to purchase, get food or whatever? Or is that should I not ask that question yet?
I've got about 12 different contractors at the moment. So I'm keen, as always, to be bringing this food down to Plymouth as soon as possible. I don't want to put an actual date on this, but I'm still really hoping that we will be operational around the end of December, January time, where we'll be looking at doing some trial models so that we can work out our kind of pricing and affordability to keep it as low as possible, and then see the best kind of programs to utilize there. So there'll be some trial periods in January, and so food will be hopefully going out the door at that point.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to come up and see it. So maybe what we could do is hold an in-person meeting up there one day, if you've got space, that is.
Yeah, well, I've definitely got space. There's nothing in this echoey room at the moment. But yeah, Let me clean the place and get some seats and get some internet. And yeah, 100%. I'd be very keen to highlight everything there.
That'd be great. Yeah, no pressure. I was thinking spring when it's a bit warmer.
Oh yeah, it's cold.
No, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Has anyone else on the call got anything that they'd like to share, ask, or anything at all?
I've got a quick question. It's not food related, but it was something that came up last year. Plymouth Argyle had 100 heated blankets last year. I've been asked by an elderly support group, and they've asked for 6 heated blankets. I was told that CAB are doing them this year, but you know what it's like. You phone them and you might as well sort of put it on hold and then go on. I was on there for about an hour trying to get hold of somebody, but I don't know if anybody's heard anything about electric blankets this year for elderly people.
I haven't heard anything. I can link
No.
you in with Rachel from CAB down at the food bank. I know when we spoke before, I don't know if I can do an email introduction if that helps.
Yeah, if you could, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not a problem. Yeah, I'll do that one. Yes, because everything from the Household Support Fund this year is going through CAB, as Carl's just said. And that has all been shared with you through the notes and everything on there. Ella, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, it's not really a question, but I was just wondering, and that would be regarding the co-ops as well as the warehouse, and what kind of food we are. I know with the co-ops that they are amazing, absolutely amazing, but it's basically mainly food from the fair share. So whatever is donated to the co-op is being then available for people, for the members of the co-op. Is that right, Rebecca?
Thanks, Ella. There's 2 aspects. The members pay £3 a week, which is then £60 in total, and then they go and shop with that, and they decide amongst themselves what they want, and they do their kind of. Sometimes they'll go to Lidl, sometimes they'll go to wholesalers, but they'll look around and decide what they need as a group. Then Kelly has linked in with Fair Share because initially Fair Share had said they didn't have the capacity to take on any new projects, but she was able to kind of talk to them about this being a different type of model, and they've been really good. And they have been supporting the project because as part of the funding for the project, they were able to get a van, a refrigerated van, which has really helped with being able to move produce around the system. So the partners are Millfields Trust, Four Greens, Food Plymouth, and City Council. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. And Four Greens also get quite a lot of donations from supermarkets, so they put that into the system. So there's a range of different ways in which food is coming into the food co-op system, and it gets kind of moved around as per need. But it's about the members themselves deciding what they need. So sometimes it is non-food stuff. So I was at the Cat Down one a while ago, and they had briquettes and things people could use in as fuel at home for heating. So sometimes they get other things as well, toiletries and so on. And I believe his church as well are quite an important part of it, and they will be. I don't know, Kevin, if they're going to be linking in with you in terms of supplying to the bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at a range of different contracts, and his church is going to be one of our biggest ones to be able to transport all of that down and have the wholesale food aspect to save costs.
Yeah.
It sounds great. I was just wondering whether is there any cultural food available in any of the co-ops? That's probably a question to the people running the co-ops, but
so it should be based on what people in the co-ops want. So if there are people saying that we would like particular things, and that they would be, okay. It's all very democratic that they vote and they decide collectively what they will be buying. And you would hope. I think at the minute, Ella, that there isn't much. That not many of the co-ops are very diverse, and I think that is something which they are looking at trying to address, and whether there needs to be sort of targeted work to make sure that people who have additional dietary needs and cultural needs are included, and that might well be where they're based as much as anything to bring people in. But there is definitely a community development element there that needs to be part of the work, I think.
Yeah, because I was just wondering if, because we obviously work with people of color in the Stonehouse community, and I don't know whether they know much about the co-ops. And maybe if we like had a session, even if on the plot in the plot or on Jabulani, and just let people know that the co-op exists, and if that's the case, that the members decide what is needed in the co-op, then the people from the community, if it's people from the BAME community, they would have a voice and say, okay, can we just get some plantain every now and then? That'd be great. And same with the warehouse. If there was a possibility of getting some cultural food as well, so that people from different backgrounds, from different communities, feel like they are part of it, or they can be part of it. That'd be great to see.
Yeah. Just on that note, through Ian, I've actually met up with Jabbo to actually talk and discuss about when we're up and running, literally about getting that kind of those cultural foods in en masse as well. So it's in my mind. I've got to get the whole thing set up first. But yeah, that's definitely thought processes and conversations have been in progress about that.
Yeah,
and I know that ISATA is linked in with Millfields with their plans to develop the social supermarket there, and I hope that will meet. And she's apparently already sort of been working in the sort of Stonehouse Devonport area to encourage people to engage with that. As the social supermarket can cater for far more people. I think it's up to 150, 120, you might remember, but it's a much bigger prospect, and it's you come in and you do your shopping. It's not quite the same model, and that might be something which will be able to cater well for more diverse needs around food. So Millfields are in the process of getting that set up with hopefully to be up and running in the new year, but it's taking some time. But definitely needs to be a really important consideration.
Yeah, it all sounds very positive. And I also know from my own experience and from talking to people like the co-op service users and the people that run it, it is very well received. People like the idea of not getting like free food, but being able to actually pay something, and they go and they have a choice. So I think the idea of the co-op and social supermarket is great.
Well, I think it's a wonderful model, but I'm biased. I think they're really, having seen a few, I think they're, really, really positive move for the city. Like I said, I think there'll always be the need for, there'll always be the need for the people who are in crisis and need food, the food bank and the free food. But this is much more sustainable. Otherwise, this is a much more sustainable model. And if it's all pulled together with the bridge, and the kind of this lovely collaboration amongst different people across the system, I think it will be really positive for the city.
Yeah,
not that I'm assuming the findings of the evaluation, of course.
No, but I think that's very well said, Rebecca. It really is, and but it is interesting on the cultural food, because that meeting that Jabba and I had with Kevin was very fruitful. And basically at the moment we're talking with David Finduno as well from Plymouth Hope and the Red Cross. Really around at the moment, I think there's half a dozen different organisations are running like transit-sized vans up and down from here to London and back, and here to Birmingham and back, to bring in particular foods because that's where they're available. And it would be good. That's quite wearing. It's not very green, and it's also quite wearing on the people doing it. In terms of long driving hours, etc., which is safety concerns about. So I think anything that we can do on that. There's a great will to do that. I can see that, and I think it will, as Kevin said, it's a thing as practicalities move into place, and the bridge is up and running, and it has been quite how can I put it? It's been a bit of a challenge to get things off the ground down in Stonehouse on the social supermarket, but that seems to be going in the right direction now. I think we'll find ourselves in a much better position to do something active about that, and there's certainly a will to do it. So But well done for raising it, though. I think it's important just to keep talking about it and keeping it on the agenda, and you know, keep it there in, you know, front of mind, as it were. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Well, I realise that we have gone over a little bit over time, so apologies for that. So we'll say goodbye to everybody that's been watching, and thank you for catching up, and thank you to all of you that have joined us in the room, and very much looking forward to the Thrive event in a couple of weeks. And we will see you all back here in December for the last one of the year. And I can't believe I'm saying that. And that'll be on the 12th of December. So in the meantime, have a very good rest of November.
Brilliant. That was a great meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.